Hi, this is Doug and Brad with the Darksliders podcast.
Hello.
So last week we talked about pretty much, I think, just the Xbox Gamescom conference. So this week we're going to talk a little bit of the extra news that came out of Gamescom. This will be like one of our normal episodes. We'll talk about games we played and then news, and we'll also throw in a new discussion topic. So first of all, games we played. Brad, you played the Never Alone Foxtales, correct?
Yes, I did. So that DLC just came out this past week, and I really like Neveralone a lot. So this was one of the few DLC packs I've ever bought. It was super cheap, and that's why I did. I think it was like $3.50 or $4.
Yeah.
I bought it, and it was more Neveralone,
What is
and
that?
that's about it.
Was it like new enemies and stuff? I mean, was there
Nope.
new stuff to it? Or is it just like,
So basically, this is a whole new story, but it's a much more condensed story. So it's basically the entire Neveralone idea, Neveralone concept of one of these Native American groups telling their story. It's the same two characters, and it's just a new story. They still have the documentaries.
oh,
They
they
have
do?
the same.
That was my only
That's the
question.
only part that you wanted. There
Yeah.
are 5 new documentaries,
Okay, all right.
but it's still the same thing where you're the little girl and the fox, and you're going through just solving a couple puzzles, and it's basically the story of spring. And in spring, they go on this canoe trip, and there's this big giant mouse that's trying to eat you, and you have to defeat the big giant mouse that's trying to eat you. And that's about it. But if you like Neveralone, it's more Neveralone. It wasn't super impressive by any means. It's very, very short.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, about an hour.
How long was Never Alone though?
Yeah, I think that was maybe 4 hours. So, I guess if you figure, I guess that's 25% of the game's length. That makes a bit more sense. But it is a complete self-contained story. It doesn't have any ties back to the original Neveralone other than says, oh yeah, the girl and the fox went on another adventure, and that's about the only tie back to the original one.
Oh, okay.
The puzzles all look the same. The only new part is that now you're swimming a lot more because you're basically going through, I think the first chapter is the river, the second chapter is the lake, the third chapter is the ocean.
Okay.
So you're going through just different bodies of water in your canoe, and you're paddling along, and then you have to jump out of the canoe and swim around, solve a puzzle, jump back in the canoe,
Uh,
swim a little bit further.
the problem I had with Never Alone is I thought the puzzles were just like way, way, way too simple. Is a lot of DLC sometimes like kind of assumes that you play the last game, so now the puzzles like immediately start just a little bit harder. Is that the
Nope.
case here or no?
Nope.
Oh,
They basically the first chapter, because there's 3 chapters. The first chapter is more or less a new tutorial.
mm-hmm.
Not quite that bad, but I mean, very simple puzzles. A lot of it has to do with the little spirits under the water that are like blowing like their breath out, and it's pushing things different way, or making waves, or pushing rocks around underneath the water to prevent your canoe from moving.
Oh, okay.
So the first part is basically just here's how you move the guys with the breath. See what kind of different crazy things they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically the whole first level. I would say there was maybe one puzzle that took me, a minute or two to try and figure out. I did go back and replay this just because there's 4 trophies for it, 3 for beating it, and 1 for collecting everything.
Oh God.
So I was like, well, I'll just go back and get the collecting thing because it's an hour long. And I basically replayed through the entire game in about 25 minutes.
Oh,
Skipping cutscenes, all that stuff. The first time through was closer to an hour, so that kind of gives you an idea of first time seeing a puzzle about double the game length.
okay. So I mean, so would you recommend this or not? Like, is this just like if you liked it, it's the same? It's basically the same thing.
That's exactly what I would go with. Is if you liked the first Neveralone, I would definitely check it out. But if you didn't care for it, it's not. It doesn't add anything new. It doesn't change anything up. It is what it is.
Hmm. Okay. Maybe I'll finish it. Maybe I'll finish it one of these days. I don't know. I'm definitely never gonna get that. I'll never play that DLC. That I do know, unless it just
You've never
magically
like
ends up in my
any.
PSN account.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't know. I'm not big on DLC either, but I don't know. Like I said, it was $3, and in my back of my mind, I feel like this almost works for PS Plus. I was like, well, I didn't pay anything for this game to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm paying $3 or $4 now, and I'm getting the DLC and the real game for $4.
Yeah, I think that actually I was being snarky last time. I think when we were talking about the Rocket League stuff, it's like, oh, why would you buy DLC for a game that you don't really own? But I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I put like I don't know 20 hours into Rocket League, maybe not that much, but I put a lot of time in that game. I was like, I want to give these devs some money. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I understand they're probably getting some money from it, but like it's not like a donation. But I was like, I didn't pay anything for this game. Like I wish, like I would have gladly paid $15-$20 for that game. So yeah, maybe I'll buy the DLC. Just like, you know, hey Dev, you did a good job. You did a good enough job. Like I'll buy that DLC just because I just want to support your company. Although
See,
I'm sure they're making plenty of money. So
oh yeah. See, and that was kind of the thought I had with this too. Is like, I didn't pay anything for it. Like, I would have bought this game, and I said that when we talked about it a couple episodes ago. I would have bought Never Alone, and you know what? I'll just use that money now to buy the DLC. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad. I almost feel like with PS Plus games for stuff like this, like going the route of I can't remember the name of the thing, the PC game where it's like pay your own amount.
Oh, Humble Bundle.
Yeah, where it's like here's a PS Plus lineup for this month. They're all free if you'd like to give some money to the developers, especially because a lot of these games are like tiny indie teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if you want to give some money to some of the developers, you can do a pay what you want model.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious. Is like, I don't think I've never read anywhere exactly how the PS Plus, what they get paid for. Like, do they get paid for the amount of downloads, or because I gotta imagine like every PS Plus owner is now playing Rocket League, while not every PS Plus owner is going to play Never Alone. So
Yeah.
like I feel like some people might have even bought a PS4 just to play Rocket League. While I don't think Never Alone ever sold any consoles. So I'm really curious how that all sort of plays out and how each one gets paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Never Alone, Foxtales, if you like Never Alone, I would say you should check it out. It's exactly the same game. If you liked it, you're going to like it. If you didn't like it, you're going to hate it. There you go.
Okay.
It's not going to change anybody's minds, but it's good. It's fun. For $4, it's an hour worth of content, which I think works out pretty evenly in my mind.
Hmm. All right, so like I said, I probably won't pick that up. But anyway, moving on to so this week I played The Evil Within. Brad corrected me on this earlier that it is The Evil Within, not just Evil Within. So I put about I'm gonna say I'm 10 hours in this game. I don't know. I keep feeling like I'm reaching the end, but it keeps going on and on and on, and I don't actually know if I'm anywhere near the end yet.
That's weird, because I feel like that would be about a 10-hour game.
Yeah, so I felt like it's 7 hours though. The game was about over. I was like, okay, but then it was like 4 more hours. Then I was like, what? Okay, maybe it's not over. I don't.
7 plus 4 is 11.
That is a lot. God dang it! I don't know how far I am in this game. Okay, that was the whole point of that sentence. Anyway, this game is super super weird, and I can understand. I feel like it got a lot of 8 out of 10s because people just did not know what else to rate it. This game is I figure like the best way to describe it. Sometimes it's better than Silent Hill, sometimes it's better than Resident Evil, and sometimes it's about as good as Deadly Premonition. It it like varies wildly in quality as you're playing the game. So what is Evil Within? Evil Within is basically Resident Evil 4 if Resident Evil 4 was set in Silent Hill but still had a really stupid Resident Evil story. So basically, the gameplay is really similar to Resident Evil 4. Kind of, God, this game is so divisive. There's so much weird stuff going on in this game. Okay, first when you start playing it, it plays like exactly, I'd say almost exactly like if you ever played The Last of Us, the clicker sections, where you have to sneak around really quietly and make sure you're not seen, otherwise you're dead. But
Is that
then
the
it's
whole game, or is that just the beginning?
just the beginning for some reason. But then
Okay.
as soon as you start getting more weapons, then it sort of starts feeling like Silent Hill because you don't have a whole lot of weapons. So you have to be like really careful of your weapon management, making sure you don't have enough bullets. So like sometimes you don't have enough bullets and like, you really just have to beat the guy and it's kind of freaky. But then like the point I'd say about like 5 hours in, you have so many weapons and ammo that like it just kind of feels like Resident Evil 4 and it's not as scary anymore.
That's weird, because those are, like, that's very tonally different going from Last of Us sneaking around to just newer Resident Evil where you're just blowing shit up all the time.
Dude, the tone of this game is all over the effing place. That's why it's so hard to describe because it's sometimes very, very, very spooky and quiet. I think that's the best part. It's like there's parts like your character is going insane, and they make it like pretty clear that your character is either going insane or something's going on because like the environments keep switching. So the parts where like your character is like losing his mind, like they have these cool things like hallways get longer or lights shut off or characters come out of nowhere. Those parts are really, really cool. But when you're just like kind of walking around, you're walking around like just really random environments. Like it's mostly just kind of like concrete corridors all over the place, and sometimes like you're in Europe, sometimes you're in like really Resident Evil 4 like areas, sometimes you're in really Silent Hill areas. There's a whole section that's like Saw. It's what kind of happens with this game is I think it just pulls like from all these different horror genres, and it just kind of switches between them randomly. So sometimes the game can be like super super freaky, and like you really don't know. Like I was like, you're really creeping quietly because you really don't know what's around the next corner. And other times it's like blowing guys away, getting headshots, and like people's brains are exploding and stuff. So it's like a mix match of like way 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 too many different horror genre types and tropes that like it never really finds its identity.
That's really so. Story wise, does it do the same thing, or is it one cohesive story? Because that to me sounds like you have no clue what to do with your story.
I I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't even know what the story is. Like I am 12 hours in, I do not know what the story is. They've made it kind of clear, and this is it's kind of hard to talk about going to spoiler territory, but it kind of feels like the environments are mixed up memories of like four or five different people. So,
Oh, so it's like some split personality type thing, or
yeah, sort of. But so like what it is, it's just like a bunch of different like random stories, and like you'll pick up there's like two or three different types of documents, and they're telling two or three different stories, while the game you're actually playing is telling another story, and then the main bad guy has his own story that's like kind of shown through like ghost figures. So it just feels like there's like four or five stories going along at the same time, and you never really know what's going on. It's not like Silent Hill, like, oh my god, what's going on? It's just like you just clearly have like just no idea what the story is, like what your goal is. Like I do not know what my goal is. My goal is apparently to kill. I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe just to get out of it.
it almost sounds like it was put together by a giant group of people, and everyone wanted their idea in it. From the way you're describing it, like I like Saw, so we're gonna make it like Saw. Okay, fine, but I like Resident Evil, so we're gonna put Resident Evil in it.
Well, it sounds like you know what it sounds like. If you ever met like somebody who's really really into horror movies, and they start talking about horror movies, and suddenly they just go off like a million different tangents of all the different types of horror.
And it just seems like they all threw it all into one thing here.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like a horror fan who's like trying to describe like the perfect horror game. They're like, okay, so the enemies are gonna be like really, really gross, like their face is gonna be ripped open, they have barbed wire sticking out of them. But we also want to have some really quiet moments where it's like super spooky, and but then we also want to throw in some Saw and throw in some this, but yeah, it's just like a huge jumble of a bunch of different ideas. But it is kind of cool, like as you're going through it, like if you like horror movies, it is kind of interesting, like seeing like these very, very clear and obvious homages to different films. And it's not just like really obvious films like Saw and stuff. Like they have some ones like for Brain Dead. Like they have some like pretty cool Brain Dead references. They have some cool what's that movie like where like I don't know, there's like like some of the main characters like people with like clown masks and stuff. So it's kind of because it's playing from all these different things, it's kind of neat to see those different things, but it just the game just feels really really erratic where sometimes the gameplay feels like really 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 tight, really fun. It, the levels like really really cleverly designed, and other times just feels like what is this jumbled thing. It's yeah, especially like some of the more Resident Evil 4 parts, because the Resident Evil 4 parts just aren't as good as Resident Evil 4.
Well,
Um,
not many things are.
no, no. It's weird. This is actually I think this is actually by the guy to Resident Evil 4, which is why it shares so many similarities.
Yeah, I know there were some names attached to this. I don't remember who, but I know it was like a wasn't one of those like collaborations between so and so and so and so type games.
Yeah, it was like a Tango Works, which is oh crap. I should have done look up the guy's name. But he's like the guy who did like not I mean he did Resident Evil 4, he did oh shit, he did some other stuff, I don't remember what it was. But he's like a very good game director. And this I think he did this with like a Western studio, which is like kind of weird. There is one thing I do want to talk about that is actually really cool. The environments, well I said they're kind of like just like dull gray and like concrete block environments. They're clearly inspired by like the different parts of the brain. So it feels like you're kind of like walking around the inside of somebody's head. There's these sort of bugs that kind of float around sometimes, but they kind of move like they kind of look like blood cells, like
Mhm.
moving through veins. And sometimes like the walls like sort of like kind of pump as if like you're going through like crevices of the brain and things like that. It is kind of neat, but I don't know. Like I would not recommend this game to like anybody just because not that it's bad. It's just like I do not know if somebody would enjoy this. Like I have no idea if somebody would enjoy this. I enjoy it, but there's so many faults with it that I can understand why other people would not.
So you almost understand kind of the criticism of like this is a very like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 game just because of like I don't like it's going to be a lot of personal preference to how much you can put up with crap in order to get through it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of crap, but there's some like really really cool parts as well. I I don't know if it's it's like if it depends. Like this is like one of those things. Like if you're budgeting for your games, like how much you're willing to like spend for like an experiment. Like I don't really get what this game is. This game's kind of strange and weird, but it's not worth like $60 to me. But it might be worth $10 for you just to have like this weird experience. So
Yeah.
like I spent $18 on it. I felt like that was an absolutely perfect price point for this. So
Well, yeah, I keep looking at picking this up too. So I guess would you say is this game fun?
mm,
Like, is this one of those games that you sit down and you enjoy playing because it's
I don't.
fun, or is it more just like a like I need to sit down and knock this out type game?
Well, I do enjoy playing it, but I found Resident Evil 4 fun because I didn't find Resident Evil 4 scary. This game I find far scarier than Resident Evil 4, so I don't have like fun playing it, but I enjoy playing it. But I'm just weird with horror games. Like, is it really fun to be scared while playing a game? Like, is it fun playing
Yes.
PT? Okay,
Yes.
well, if you like being scared, then yeah. But again, some people wouldn't find this game scary at all because it's so actiony. I don't know. This game's super weird. I enjoy playing it just because it's such like a train wreck is not a good way to describe this game because it is better than that. But there's just so much weird randomness like constantly going on that's why I like it. It just feels like you're playing some like really weird experiment.
Interesting. Huh.
Mhm.
Well, I'm more curious now than I was before you started talking.
Yeah, I like I just honestly feel like if I said, "Hey, Brad, you like this game?" and you bought it and like this game's shit, I was like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah,
I can't disagree.
But I just figured you might not think it was shit.
No, it's way better than Deadly Premonition, though. I still don't understand why people like that
I
game.
don't like that game.
No, I got farther. I got way farther on this one than that one. Oh yeah, quick comment I wanted to make. Let's finish up with Evil Within. You had mentioned when I was talking in my Trials review, they're like, well, you didn't play. I had mentioned that like a lot of the user maps, that a lot of the maps in this DLC was like really cool because they were remixing assets, and you said, oh well, you haven't really played a lot of the user maps that are available. So I was like, you know what, you're totally right. So I actually went through and played a lot of the like user made maps.
Yeah.
So I can now confidently say that the DLC is way better than the user made maps. I played like the top 20 best user made maps
DLC is
like
way
of all
better.
time. Yeah, and the DLC is better. Like there is definitely like a certain quality to it that is like they are clearly better than like normal user made maps.
That's what I
So
figured, but it was just one of those things where if they're not saying these are Red Link's developed maps, they are community based, like what
mhm.
level of community based? But I guess that makes me a little bit more intrigued by the DLC because I still haven't bought it. If they are better than the community ones, because that's always my hang up with Trials DLC is I have more maps than I'll ever be able to play, so there's no reason for me to buy this. But
No, they are. There is like I would say there was one map the entire time I user made map. The entire time I played, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is like definitely the quality they had in the. But yeah, there's definitely like a certain level of quality that they expected from those user made maps before they started selling them as DLC. So yeah, they're definitely like way top tier, like better than anything I've played before.
nice.
So kind of moving on from games we played, we've done this a few times. I don't know. I think me and Brad both sort of enjoy this, where we just sort of talk about games in general.
And that's all that
Uh,
really matters is if we enjoy it.
yeah, pretty. I don't know. I'll tell you guys comment. No, just kidding.
Until somebody says this freaking sucks, shut the hell up. You're
Yeah, yeah,
stuck
yeah.
with it. All
Yeah, until
10
somebody
of
says
you.
different. Maybe like 2 or 3 people say different. So, so kind of like the main discussion I kind of want to talk about is current gen as it is now. Like, what are your thoughts? I think how long has current gen been going? It's only been like a year and a
Yeah, it's
half,
a year and
I
a half.
think.
It was November of 13, I believe, is when PS4 and Xbox One launched.
Yeah. So how do you feel about this gen, say, compared to last gen? Are you excited where it's going? Are you not excited? Is there things that are worrisome? Just kind of discussions like that. So I just sort of just got into current gen. Like current gen was next gen to me until I bought my PS4 like recently and I started playing a lot more games. This gen feels super, super strange to me. I feel like I'm spending a lot of my time mostly playing indie games. I feel like a lot of the AAA games that I feel like some of them are like the best games I've ever played, and some of them I feel like Like I have Second Son and Shadowfall, and I put about a half hour into each and haven't touched them at all since. Well, Bloodborne was like one of the best games I've ever played. While most of my time
See,
is spent playing Rocket League.
okay, but here's what I'm gonna instantly go back at you with this. Go back to PS3. How many big name AAA games did you play? How much Call of Duty did you play? How much? I'm trying to think of like other gigantic. How much Killzone did you play on PS3? How much? You know what I mean? How much
Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto did you play? Like those types of games. How many of those did you play? Because you do like we always used to give you shit because like you only played weird games.
that's true. But you know what it was? You know, you know what it was though? It's like PS3. When I did PS3, I came into PS3 really late as well. So like, so this I think that's why this feels weird to me because when I had PS3, like there was like hundreds of games I could choose from,
Yeah.
and I could be weird about my games. Like I could pick like whatever weird games I want. But now I feel like I only have weird games to choose from. Just maybe I think I've just been over bloated on like weird games. Like right now I'm like sitting here looking at my TV that has like a countdown for Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. I feel this gen's just kind of strange. That's kind of want to talk about it. Like, and I feel I don't know. I'm kind of rambling.
Yeah, a little bit. See, I'll agree to that to a point because I've played much more weirder indie type lower budget games now, but that's because my tastes have shifted a little bit.
Hmm.
10 years ago when I got my Xbox 360, 'cause I believe, well, not quite 10 years ago, 8 or when would that have been? Like 2000? I guess it would be about 10 years at this point.
Yeah, almost.
Geez, like I bought my Xbox 360 and was like, oh shit, I can't wait to see what Halo looks like on this. That's why I
Hmm.
bought my, you know what I mean? That was my mindset of Xbox 360. When I bought my PS4, it was like, there's gonna be some cool stuff. Like, I don't know what's gonna be on
Hmm.
this. Who knows? Like, so it's a different mindset at this point because I'll bet 10 years ago if the PS4 came out, I'd be like, oh man, Battlefront's gonna look so good, and there's a new Killzone, and oh, I can't wait for Halo 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Mhm.
so part of it just is like shifted perspectives because I've played like, I mean, you mentioned Rocket League. I put 20 or 30 hours into that game. I went back through and played Flower again when I got my PS4. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, but to me, like those games are almost more interesting than the game than the. I think right now I just feel like we just have like a bunch of sequels or games that are really similar to other games as our AAA games. Like Bloodborne is Dark Souls 3, or Demons, whatever. It's like it's a third Souls game. Infamous Second Son is Infamous 3. Uh,
well,
Killzone is Killzone 4. Battlefront is Battlefront 3. I don't know. I feel like these games aren't as those AAA games just aren't as interesting to anymore because they feel so derivative of games I've already played.
but you have to remember that this is the first essentially year and a half worth of development, and I think that's why next year. We were talking about this a bit before the podcast. Next year seems loaded at this point with like crazy stuff
Mhm.
that's coming out. At this point, you have to figure it's only probably been 4 years that a lot of devs have had these things in their hands and been able to play with them.
That's true.
So the
Yeah.
initial, and I feel like the initial wave for every release is not how innovative can we get this, it's how hard can we push this hardware. Like, what can I
Yeah.
make my game look like comes first. And then you start to get the experimentation of, okay, I can make it look this good. Now, what new things can I do with this?
Yeah, I mean that is true. I feel like a lot of devs are just building their engines for next gen.
Yeah,
So like their first game, like for their first next gen game, isn't going to be their best game. It's going to be their thank God we got this engine working. Thank God we actually got a game released.
yeah.
Um, so it's going to be hard for them to start experimenting. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like this is a weird time because this is like the first time I ever bought a system anywhere near launch. Like I never get systems within the first year. I usually wait like 4 or 5 years to
See,
get a
and we're in
system.
very different, because I mean, I got my 360 within a month. I got a PS2 within a month. I got my Xbox day one. I got my PS4 day one. Like I am jumping on board with this thing, and I want this now. So we're in very
Mhm.
different perspectives. Because I remember like when the PS2 came out, I remember being like at that point. I mean, I was like what 15? No, not even 15. Like
12,
12ish.
12,
Yeah.
probably even younger, maybe like 10 or 11.
Anyway, I remember being like, okay, these games look good, but it's the same game. It just looks good. Like, you know what I mean? And same thing with like the 360. These games look good, but they're not that great. Like, there's nothing better.
Oh,
And I think that's just that first year and a half to 2 years. When you look at what's coming out next year, Final Fantasy 17 with like the giant world, end of this year with Fallout 4 and like all the crazy amount of content they have packed in there. When you start to look
yeah.
at these things that are slowly coming out, you're going, okay, now these are the devs that have had 4, 5, 6 years worth of time to really build something into this, they can kind of play around with it more. Because at this
Uh,
point, if you really think about it, it's graphics. That is what's differentiated PS4 from PS3 is graphics.
yeah, I guess that's kind of disappointing to me. It's like I think I think people are I think a lot of people are like, oh, like the graphics don't look as there's not as big a jump. I mean, that is true. That's probably true. But like when I play PS4, I was like, I am blown away constantly by the graphics. When I play the games, I'm like, I've played this before. That's like my big problem with Arkham Knight. It's like,
Yeah,
I've played this game before. Infamous, I kind of felt like I had played it. Well, I played First Light. I think actually really did enjoy First Light. I think that's what happened with me in Second Son. I was like, First Light was awesome, but I was like, okay, that was my time with Infamous.
yeah.
But Killzone just kind of felt like another first-person shooter. Um,
See, and me and Brian, so
yeah.
me and Brian, a couple episodes ago, and our friend Brian was on here. We talked about Shadow of Mordor. That is
Mhm.
the one game that I've played and gone, this couldn't have been done probably on my PS3 when they had the big Nemesis system and they had this intricate AI web that was going through it and changing the way the characters interacted, introducing like all these like NPCs that had all these detailed stories and these detailed connections, and it affected the gameplay and it affected how you did all that. That's why that game stands out to me because that is one of the few games I can sit back and go, I really don't think they could have done this, and they almost confirmed that themselves because the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions don't have that system in place.
But that's what's weird to me. I think I'm just used to like having a plethora of games. Like if that's the only game you felt like was really like a next gen game, I feel like that's why it's so strange to me. Is because like whenever I got my PS2 or PS3, or even like well not the Vita, um, but there's a lot of games available to me. Like I could just like I could be more discreet and like, okay, this is the game that I'm going to get because there's like 20 games I can choose from. So I can just pick the best of the best. But that takes like 3 years to get. So that's probably actually all it is.
Yeah, and see,
Um,
and as you're talking right now, I didn't get my PS3 until like 2 years ago. Like I got my PS3 maybe 8 months before I got my PS4, and I'm
yeah,
thinking in the back of my head here, how many games have I actually gone back and played from the first 2 to 3 years of the PS3's life cycle? It's not many.
it's probably just Resistance now that
That's
I
the
think
only
from
one that
what
I
you've
can
talked.
think of that was first 2 to 3 years of PS3 time because those games are just graphical upgrades for the most part of the prior system.
Okay, I guess I could see that. I think so. You're saying it's like maybe just like kind of a wait and see sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think next year when you get, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, um, Uncharted 4 with some of the crazy stuff that they've showed off already. Like when you start to really get into, I mean, that'll be year 3 of this system, so you know at that point these devs have had enough time to really get their hands on these things and really figure out what they can
Yeah,
do and start to be more innovative.
that is true. I guess the games I'm like most excited for, like well, not maybe not Quantum Break, but like Scalebound and Horizon and Rhyme and The Last Guardian. Like to me, those things seem innovative, and it feels like I'm just like kind of waiting for those. And like, what do I have? I don't really have a lot now. I have
See,
like a lot of cool indie games. Like I think indie games are really cool and fun, but I just feel like the AAA is just taking a while to sort of catch up.
well, and again, and all of those games that you listed are all next year, which is where you're in
Yeah,
year 3, so you've got that time installed. And I think indie games, I think, are kind of at an advantage because number one, they don't take as long
yeah.
in general. Obviously, there's the exceptions, but those games also, they don't. Indie games weren't really as open of a thing on PS3. There were some,
hmm
but they weren't this crazy push until the very end of it. So they had this kind of natural build into the PS4.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many indie games available. I think I like indie games a lot, but I feel like I'm still kind of waiting for like I like those experience games. Like I really do enjoy the whatever they tout, like I like when they're like up on E3 stage like, "Oh, you're going to really enjoy the experience of Uncharted 4." It's like, "Well, I do kind of buy into that." Like I
Yeah,
just want I want one of those like, "Wow, that was crazy." games. I haven't really got one of those yet.
I'm gonna tell you the first. Well, I don't know the release date yet. First one's gonna be No Man's Sky. Just so I can
That's
keep
true. That
throwing
one will
that game out.
definitely feel next gen.
That is gonna feel crazy next gen, just because the amount of stuff they're doing with that. you
Yeah.
you know they couldn't have done prior. And I think that's the feeling you want to have from these is I want to be able to do more than just look at a game and say that couldn't look like that on my PS3. I want to be able to look at it and go that couldn't play like that on my PS3.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I think you're right. That just sort of takes time. Cool. Well, I guess I am kind of excited then for like 2016 stuff.
Yeah, No Man's
And maybe
Sky. Get excited.
yeah, that's true. And I might pick up Fallout 4 just because I'm really curious about that one as well. All right. So kind of moving on to news. This is just kind of this stuff that basically was not Microsoft at Gamescom. So first off, they showed a new Final Fantasy 15 trailer, 3 minutes long. I My first reaction to this trailer was like, oh, I clicked on the YouTube. I just came home and I was like, Final Fantasy 15, awesome. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Holy shit, that is a lot of stuff they're going to show. And I was like, just waiting for it. And then I sort of hovered my mouse over it. And I was like, 3:20, and they'd show like nothing. They showed.
There was nothing in this trailer. It was so boring.
Oh my god!
I think I made it a minute and a half before I pulled up. It's like, God, there's 2 more minutes of this. I'm just gonna click forward a bit.
Yeah, they and it opens with like a little girl getting like abused or something. It's like, what? Oh, okay.
And
then it's just crying.
That trailer was so dramatic. Like every single aspect of that was like, how can we hit like every emotional string possibly, from that scene to like, oh, and there's this dog running away, and there's a dad and his kid for like a solid minute and a half, just standing
and the dad's
there.
just crying.
It's like we're gonna hit every possible emotional note we can in this trailer, regardless of how that affects this actual game.
Yeah, I didn't. But did you feel anything watching it? Like I wasn't. I was
bored.
Like watching the. Huh?
Bored. I felt bored.
Yeah, I mean, like watching the Last Guardian stuff. Besides the fact that it's Last Guardian, like when he makes that jump, you're like, oh my god, is he gonna make that jump? But in this one, I honestly was just waiting for the gameplay. I was like, oh, when's the gameplay coming? Okay, this is kind of okay. Because usually that like setup of like that dramatic setup for like most trailers, especially like Final Fantasy 15, they've been kind of showing gameplay of it. Like that sort of dramatic section is maybe like the first 30 seconds of a trailer, and then after that it's like the gameplay blowout.
Yeah.
And that just never happened. I wasn't like intrigued or interested in whatever story they're trying to tell. It's like a father is sad about his son, who is a prince. He is a king. Drama. It's like, oh man.
Right. That's a
it's really weird too. That like the older guy, like they drastically changed his design for some reason. Like we've seen that character before. That character before was a guy with like slick back hair in a suit.
Well,
and,
maybe
like,
this takes place at a different stage in the game.
Well, I mean, it's like before that. It's like Noctis, who's like the main character, is like a little kid, but his dad now looks like 10 years older, and he looks like a grizzled king of sorts or something instead of like...
Maybe there's some crazy 13-2 time travel going on. You don't know.
Oh god, there probably is. I don't know. I just like the trailer just like kind of completely fell flat. I think you could have made a dramatic trailer like this and not shown gameplay, but for whatever reason, like this just didn't hit anything emotionally for me.
I was in the same spot. I was excited too. I was like, "Oh, Final Fantasy!" And they teased it like all day, like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be. Here's the time. It's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out." And just I was like, "Yes, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be." I was like, "Oh, well."
Do you know how they led up to this trailer?
With the dog.
Like you were saying. Yeah, no. Like the day, like how that day went.
Yeah.
At Gamescom.
Like at Gamescom, no, I know how it went on the internet, which is everybody thought there was gonna be a playable dog.
So okay, so how this went down at Gamescom is they replayed the Dust Sky demo with, like, I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 different times with different YouTube streamers. So they just kept replaying the episode Dust Sky demo over and over and over again. And at the end of all that, they're like, we're going to show you some new Final Fantasy 15 stuff. And it was that trailer and then the minute and a half of gameplay.
Well, so the minute and a half of gameplay was actually pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. That was awesome.
Had they just released that, I think people would have been happy. This just seemed like a throwaway thing. Like, well, let's get some story out there.
I think they just need to say... I don't even think it was that. I think they just need to show so many minutes of Final Fantasy 15 for people to be like happy and can't complain that they didn't show it. Because they just showed a minute and a half. You're like, what is this bullshit?
That's
Technically,
true.
They gave us 4.5 minutes or something. Like.
That's very true. So, I don't know. I was impressed with the gameplay. The gameplay still looks fantastic. Just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they could have put together a better trailer. That felt like one of those, like the month before release where it seems like every 4 days they put out a new trailer for a game. It felt
Yeah.
like one of those trailers, like a leading up to release, like, okay, we put out 4 other trailers this month. Here's another one just for the hell of it.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of development, they're being super weird about the development. First of all, they announced that they are 60% done, but they were like 55% done like 6 months ago or something like that.
Which, considering that it's coming in 2016,
It's not. I don't know why you think that. That's not going to happen.
wasn't it in the trailer?
No, that was not in the trailer.
Yes, it was. It for sure in the trailer said coming 2016.
Well, it's not.
No, I don't think it is at all either. But I swear that was in the trailer, and if not, you need to edit all this shit out so I don't sound like a dumbass.
Exactly. It's not in there, Brad. It's like definitely not in there.
I can't find the damn trailer. Okay, anyway, regardless.
It's not in there. Anyway, but yeah, so development's been kind of weird. So they announced they have 60% done, and then they also announced that they're going to. Whenever anybody asks about airships, they keep talking about like they just can't do it right now. Like whatever technology they have, like it just does not work with airships because the original idea for like since Final Fantasy Versus 13 is like we're gonna have an airship that's like an open world, so you can fly up, go around, drop down, and then you're in that area. Kind of like just like a legit open world. So what they have announced is that they're actually
shut up right now. Final Fantasy 15 confirmed for 2016 by the director of the game to GameStop 3 days ago.
All right, that's ridiculous though. I'd almost be willing to put a bet on that.
Oh, I know. I guarantee it won't. I would be shocked if it did. But it says right here, release date confirmed 2016.
All right. We'll see.
Quote, we can certainly say to people it's not going to be 2017. It's going to be before that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brad. Oh, God. Okay, so anyway, what I was talking about before you rudely yelled at me.
I was right. I'm never right.
Yeah. Was that they announced that they're going to try to use some of the Just Cause 3. They're in talks with the Just Cause 3 devs to use some of the Just Cause 3 technology for Final Fantasy 15. And a lot of people have been saying this is probably for the airships and the open world aspect of it. And I was like, they are not that far in development, or they're having some serious issues that they're like trying to make an open world game and they haven't figured out how to make an open world yet.
Yeah, that's got to make you a little bit worried. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of this is that this game has been in development for so long.
Yeah.
And if you're only 55% done, I mean, one was, I don't know how much they carried over from the Versus thing, but
real quick, like every announcement they've made, like thus far, there's some other like story-based announcements. It's basically like we're not doing that thing for Final Fantasy Versus 13.
Yeah, so if you're 55% done, and that was like 2008 that was announced. So even if you scrap that in 2012, if you're 50% done after 3 years,
yeah, there's something really weird going on. It kind of seems like one of the things I was reading is like the nickname for the director is like the mop up crew, because apparently the just development was so messy and screwed up before then that he kind of stepped in because he was like a guy who can actually finish games. Like, here's a whole mess of stuff we have. We just need to get this done.
Stitch this all together, make it presentable, get it out the door.
And that's it's kind of what that feels like. And the fact like they're announcing this is like not good. Like, I don't know why they're saying this out loud to people. Like, we know way too much about we know officially way too much about the Final Fantasy 15 development and how screwed up it is. They should have kept a lot of that quiet. Just release trailers, don't have those hour-long things, and just don't talk.
Be quiet and surprise us all in a year.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess next going on is I don't know, this one I'm not too excited about. I know Brad is like crazy. I know. Is Battlefront. Battlefront, they had a new trailer for the space battles. They had some new there's like some gameplay floating around, but they're not space battles. They're
like in atmosphere dog fights. I think they call it like fighter mode or squadron or something.
Yeah, so I guess the mode is like 10v10 with a lot of AIs, I guess, kind of floating around. like dog fighting stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know, it didn't really make me go ooh. It's like, oh, okay.
It it makes me wish they'd make a new Rogue Squadron. That's all it does. Is like, man, I miss Rogue Squadron. Remember when they used to make all these cool Star Wars games? But
Hmm.
I liked it. I thought it was really cool. It looks fun. I don't know how well. I'm always whenever I see space battles or like air combat, I'm always a little like hesitant just because it's so easy to screw that up. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
things have to be fine tuned to perfection to make it really effective.
Yeah. Yeah. I find like, especially, I feel like games either make it too complicated or not complicated enough that it's too boring,
Yeah,
or it's like so complicated. Like helicopters in games, like I just always just I those take like a long time to learn. But I feel like this is like, oh, we want it to be pick up and play, so I'm like worried it's gonna be too simplified
yeah.
that it's not gonna be super fun.
I mean,
It
because
looks cool.
it looks cool, and I mean, there's nothing looking at that, watching the trailer and everything. There's nothing in there that makes me go, oh, "This is gonna suck." It just looking at it, it makes me go, "Is this gonna be too complicated that I'm gonna get irritated by it, or is it gonna be too simple that I'm gonna play it once and go, yeah, that was kind of fun."
Yeah, yeah, and the thing with like, I think I haven't played like a lot of Rogue Squadron. For what I understand, Rogue Squadron with like they had pretty open maps, but
Yeah,
this is like Battlefront is sort of like an arena game. I mean, they're large arenas, but they're still arenas. So the fact that you have like a whole it's like space deathmatch in a small arena kind of thing. It's not like really open. I don't know.
it's
I
it's one
feel
of
like
those things that
Battle.
I don't
Yeah,
feel like you're ever gonna get a good handle on until they go and just have it in your hands.
yeah, that's true. I'm just worried that this is a game that's primarily a third person shooter that has vehicles, and the has vehicles mode is like just its own thing. Like I can't imagine it's gonna be as fun
Yeah,
as just doing the
and
normal third
how
person
much
shooter.
development time do they actually dedicate to this, or is this just one of those like we can put it on the box type things?
Yeah, and that's kind of what it kind of feels like we could put on the box kind of thing. I don't know. It still looks really good though. I feel like I'm kind of spoiled by like next gen stuff because like it looks effing amazing.
Oh
Like it
yeah,
definitely looks like. But is it gonna be better than Rogue Squadron 2? Like I don't know. Probably not.
yeah.
They should make it. They should definitely make a new Rogue Squadron.
Oh, I'd be so happy. I mean, the cool thing was, of course, at the end they had the Millennium Falcon come in and like blow some stuff up, and you're like, oh yeah. And then they had Slave One file in behind it, and it's like, oh boy. Because I always like that
Yeah,
aspect of like you can play as the famous characters too in the middle of this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was pretty cool. That's they've had that though in those games before, right?
I don't remember if they did in Space Battles. They didn't on the ground stuff. They always had the hero characters. I don't remember in like the Space Battle type stuff if they did or not.
Okay.
So
So this, yeah, so this could be a new thing. Yeah, I guess it is kind of fun just like dick around the Millennium Falcon and like
yeah, who
blow
doesn't
shit
want
up.
to fly the Millennium Falcon? If you say you
Yeah.
don't want to fly the Millennium Falcon, you're a terrible person, and I never want to talk to you in my life. The Millennium Falcon.
Okay. Yeah, and the Slave One seems kind of cool too. I just felt it was like, okay, it's more Battlefront. I just gotta wait for that game to come out, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, this was actually the most exciting thing I think for me at Gamescom, just because it looked so polished. This game it looked ready to like come out almost. Was the Mirror's Edge Catalyst gameplay trailer was everything I wanted from Mirror's Edge 2.
Yeah, it looked really good, which is weird because we've talked about before how Mirror's Edge 1 did not show well. But this looked
Yeah,
real good.
yeah. I think Mirror's Edge is kind of a hard game to show because it is. There's not a lot of shoot. There is no shooting. In the new one, there's like zero shooting. It's a lot of just like it's like really slow, thought out platforming that sometimes speeds up and goes really quick if you're good. But I don't know, like everything about this just made me go, "Ooh, that's cool." Uh, First of all, they definitely show that it's open world.
Yep.
Like it was kind of cool. It's like you need to get that building, and like you see that building in a distance, and there's like four or five, there's like skyscrapers in between, and it felt like you could sort of choose whichever way you wanted.
Yeah, and along with that, they got rid of the first one had those very dedicated paths where it was here's your bright red orange object that you need to run to. You need to use this
Hmm.
specific thing. This gameplay had nothing highlighted in there, so it almost felt more like I can go to that sky. I can go that way, that way. I can do this. I can try this.
Yeah, 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 it definitely felt more like yeah, like you had more choice. Where like yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying. But Mirror's Edge One was like a linear game. I think
Very
like
yes.
and it felt even more linear by the fact like here's the objects that you can interact with. But this one it feels like oh I can just interact with everything. And the thing I really liked about it that I'm kind of excited about is the thing I never liked. I don't like Assassin's Creed games that much. And one of the things that always bugs me is like they have these really cool environments that look really fun to run around in, but it's so easy to run around in that doesn't really matter. Like you just hold A and
Oh
then
yeah,
you
and you
press
can climb
forward.
on whatever, and you can run up whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't really matter how that game is designed. It doesn't matter what it looks like because you're holding A through every situation. That's probably that might not be true now. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in like 5 years, so that might be vastly different. But from what I understand, that's kind of how the game has always been.
yeah,
But this one, they show like an open world and they show this stuff to climb, and you're thinking it's like, oh, I actually have to think about how I'm going to attack this environment. Like that to me is super exciting. One of the other things I thought when they first opened up, I thought when they showed the open world, I thought the art design was like, it looks okay. I really, really like the art design for Mirror's Edge 1, like those really bright colors and stuff.
yep.
But as soon as they went indoors to the, I don't know, whatever building she was
Hmm.
trying to break into, they had like those really classic, like really hard greens and like
Yep.
really bright colors. And I was like, oh man, so, so good.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, like, people who didn't play Mirror's Edge 1, are they having the same feeling with this? Because we both really liked Mirror's Edge 1, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think it's showing much better because it's a known quantity now. If you never played Mirror's Edge 1, I wonder if you still have that feeling of, like, the hell is this? Like, I don't understand this.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like whenever, like, like our podcast, like we're like in our mid 20s. I always do wonder like how these sort of announcements go with like high schoolers. Like, I'm really curious because like are they super excited about Battlefront, or are they like, or is Mirror's Edge just look stupid and like why I don't get this game? Like, I can totally see why somebody look at this and think this is stupid. Way I can't shoot these guys. I have to like kick them, and it's all one hit kills, and
Yeah,
I'm jumping through stuff. Like it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I am really curious how people who haven't played Mirror's Edge would look at this game. I played it though, so I'm excited.
exactly, and that's all that really matters.
I'm just glad we're getting Mirror's Edge too. I doubt Mirror's Edge 3 is coming.
Well, I mean, if this goes and sells like crazy, yeah, I'm shocked this is a thing too. Because Mirror's Edge 1 did not sell well, if I remember correctly. Like, not at all.
No, it was like basically that was like when they did Dead Space, Mirror's Edge, and they funded Brutal Legend. And like the only experiment that really worked out was Dead Space.
Yeah, although
And
Brutal Legend is arguably the best one of those three games.
Okay.
I say arguably because I'm gonna argue it, and no one else is
that,
gonna agree with me.
that's fine. Maybe we'll talk about that one later. I played a little bit of that game. I
I
just didn't like it.
love Brutal Legend.
I love the. Oh, never mind. We're not gonna. I really like the setting. I didn't like anything else. Anyway. So yeah, Mirror's Edge, super cool. The other game that looked almost not finished, but like it definitely looked like probably one of the better showings was Unraveled. Unraveled was I think announced at E3, wasn't it?
I don't remember this ever being a thing.
You don't remember this one? Oh, this was this was definitely announced at E3. The trailer they showed at E3 was like there's a part where there's a fish and he like hooks onto the fish and like slide and like goes across the lake really quick. You didn't see that one?
Nope. I do not remember a thing about this until you sent me the gameplay trailer.
Okay. So Unraveled is basically like kind of like Never Alone. It's like one of those story-based platformer games with it looks like light puzzle elements or actually pretty heavy puzzle elements. When I was like watching them go through the gameplay, I felt kind of stupid because like I didn't know how to figure out the puzzle, which made me excited. Like I didn't realize I couldn't immediately go, hey, that's how you beat this puzzle. And that's why I was like, ooh, now I'm excited because Never Alone, I kind of felt was like, okay, this is a little
Yeah,
too
Neverland
easy.
has way easy puzzles.
Yeah, so like when they showed a game that kind of looks like Little Big Planet, but a Little Big Planet story has this like weird kind of because it's all I don't know editor created levels. They feel like a little weird. Like there's just a little bit of jankiness to it. So it looked like a not janky version of Little Big Planet with like interesting puzzles. I was like, ooh, that sounds awesome. It looks really good too.
Yeah, the water effects in the gameplay trailer look fantastic.
hmm It's also a weird setting too because I think the devs are from Sweden. They're like, and when they're doing the game, I think the gameplay trailer or walkthroughs, and they're like, "This is the beaches of Sweden." I was like, "Oh, that's never a setting I
No,
would have
I've
ever
never gone to
played in
Sweden
a
in a
game."
video game, I don't feel like.
Yeah, it's like playing a guy made out of yarn going through a Swedish setting, and like they kept talking about like emotions and memories and things like that. I was like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be one of those games." But this is one of those things that I've kind of had a problem with arty games, is like Never Alone, is that they don't really have complex gameplay mechanics, and they aren't really hard. They're not generally not very hard. Like Journey is like a game you just kind of walk. Like there's no difficulty to it. So the fact that there's a game like a arty game with more complex gameplay aspects while still being an emotional adventure, like that has me really excited. I'm kind of hoping that more arty games will be like that in the future.
Yeah, but that kind of goes against the idea of what you're going for. Never Alone, I don't feel like was difficult because you're trying to get across this story that people haven't heard. And you don't want people to get to the point where they go, "Oh, this game's too hard. I don't care enough about the story to go through with it."
Hmm.
You want them to see this whole cohesive story, and the thing that you're trying to do is tell a story. You're not trying to create Dark Souls level of difficulty. You're trying to create an intricate narrative that people are truly going to be invested in and want to see through to the end.
But I think you could make a game that's not necessarily like, Dark Souls or something. You can make a game that's still challenging, that still tells a good story. Like, I don't think that a game can't be challenging and also tell a good story.
No, I agree completely, but I think as a developer, you kind of need to draw a line somewhere. Which
Yeah,
are you
that
which
is
are you
true.
going for? Are you going for a very gameplay focused, difficult game to get through that does have a really good and have that emotional story with the knowledge that okay, people are going to get stuck, frustrated, and irritated and not go through with this? Or do you lay back and go, okay, the point that I really want to get across is my story. I
Hmm.
want the gameplay
So
aspects to be in there to enhance the story, but I don't want them to be difficult to the point where someone is going to get frustrated and just set the controller down and walk away.
yeah, no, that's true. I would say it's a delicate balance. I think a lot of people are just saying, they're going one way or the other. But I mean, I would argue a game like, say, Portal. Like, Portal has those are some really challenging puzzles, and that still has like really, really strong story, especially Portal 2.
See, and I'll agree, but comparing that to a game like Never Alone, where Never Alone, the goal of Never Alone is the story.
Yeah, I
Nobody
mean,
is
it
saying
is
Never
like,
Alone is
yeah,
played for the gameplay. Portal has awesome gameplay. And it has an awesome story, but I don't think Valve is sitting there going like, man, I really want to make sure people get to the end of the story.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's true. I just kind of because I keep playing these arty games, but I've also been playing games for like 20 years. Like I do want some challenge in those. Like I can understand like that a dev can't make a game for me. Like I'm not their target audience. Like I shouldn't be, especially with like a one where they're trying to like teach people and things like
Yeah.
that. Even this one is like it's not necessarily teaching people, but it's kind of showing them, hey, this is Sweden. Like this is a place that you have never been.
Mm-hmm.
That so yeah, I guess when you do show new stuff, you kind of have to like take it slow. But I'm hoping that with enough arty games, like we're okay with
Yeah.
we are more confident now that we don't have to take it slow all the time.
Yeah.
This is not interesting. This is news that Brad put on here that I never would have talked about otherwise. But Halo, are you sure this is true? Halo 5 has a T rating.
Do you want me to not just like put anything on here? You're like trying to fact check every single thing that I put on here. Like,
Okay,
oh,
to be
you
fair,
added
Final
this.
Fantasy
It
15.
can't be true.
Okay, all right. It says okay. It does say rated T. I was just asking.
Yeah,
Okay, the fact that you said Final Fantasy 15 was coming out sometime this decade, like maybe okay, that made me fact check you. That was the old. I rarely fact check you. The fact that somebody said Final Fantasy 15 is actually coming out in 2016 did blow my mind. Okay, no, you're right though. So Halo 5 is rated T, and this bugs you for some reason.
okay, it doesn't bug me. It's just one of those really weird things. So this is the first T-rated Halo game.
I don't agree with that.
It's true.
I will agree
Here,
that this is
let
probably
me read the headline from Destructoid. Halo 5, first game in series rated T for teen.
no. Okay, here's my point. That is true. What I'm saying is that this is not.
Wasn't true.
No. Hear me out. This is not the first Halo game that could have been rated teen.
And that's why I want to talk about this, because Halo is the weirdest series to have an M rating through the entire series, because when you compare that with other M-rated games, it does
Yeah.
not hold up at all.
Yeah, so to me this to me makes perfect sense. This is like, okay, we finally get what Halo is, and Halo is not an M-rated
But
franchise.
it's weird that it took this long. I mean, this is essentially Halo 7. If you count ODST
Yeah.
and Reach, this would be like Halo 7. And it took 7 games for them to go, yeah, I guess this is a T-rated game. Like,
You know what
what has been changed for this to become a T-rated game?
I think at the point they were like, this probably could be a T-rated franchise is when they released ODST and Reach, which were very M-rated from what I understand. Like especially Reach. Like Reach has like pretty violent from what is like the most M-rated Halo
Yeah,
game.
that's probably true. I don't know.
So that's why I feel like that's when they were like, okay, Halo's never getting another T
Yeah.
rating.
I don't know. It's one of those things that's weird where it's like you made it this far in a series and all of a sudden it's T-rated. Like, did something change in the game, or is something changing about their standards?
I think something is changing with their standards because I think M-rated games have just gotten so incredibly violent
Yeah,
that
like
like
I feel like if you stack like Halo 5 and Grand Theft Auto 5 next to each other, everybody's gonna. If you're gonna say which one of these should be M-rated, every single person on Earth is gonna point to Grand Theft Auto 5.
yeah. So to me this isn't weird. I think this is like getting with the times because I always felt like Halo just in general was like a T-rated series that just happened to be rated M for some reason. I'm really curious as to why it was rated M in the first
Well, if
place.
you look at the first one, when you introduce the Flood, and I don't think you did. You ever play Halo 1?
No, I play. I mean, I played it. I
Yeah,
didn't like play it.
like
Play it.
when they introduced the Flood, there is some really well done horror aspects in the initial Flood reveal in Halo 1.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of like people's heads being replaced and things like that in a similar way to like
Oh,
the
okay.
Half-Life things that do
The
that.
head crabs.
Yeah, the head
Yeah.
crabs in Half-Life. So there's a lot of very similarities in the way that the Flood work and the head crabs work. So the first one makes sense to me. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, Reach kind of makes sense to me. But like I don't know, I feel like just getting away from the Flood, and that was kind of the violent aspect of it, just the way those things interacted with people, I think is where a lot of the M rating came from. But
Oh, okay.
so like the first few make sense to me, but like Halo 4, yeah, yeah, no.
Okay. So that yeah, I think this is just game. I think especially I think Destiny was sort of the game that also set that precedent because Destiny's rated teen, isn't it?
I don't remember. I honestly very rarely pay attention to stuff like this.
That's true. I think we're at the age where like a rating doesn't really matter. It's like it don't matter what. When I actually have kids, I will be I'll be on top. I'll be that jackass parent who's like you can't play M-rated games till you're like so certain age. Destiny is rated teen.
Yeah, and see, and again, that makes me feel like almost like they're like next generation. We need to start differentiating between Grand Theft Auto and Halo. There should be a line
Yeah.
between those two, and those should not be the same thing.
Or hell, even like Halo and Tomb Raider. Like Jesus, even Tomb Raider's like all aboard the M-rated wet bandwagon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. This to me makes sense. Why are you like were you mad about this
No, it was
or
just it was just more of just like a weird thing. Like after 7 games, now the ratings changed. You know what I mean? Like
you just think they should have done this like years ago?
yeah, years ago. Like okay, to use a weird example, Die Hard.
Hmm.
Like Die Hard 1, 2, and 3 were all R-rated movies, and then Live Free or Die Hard comes out, and it's a PG-13 movie, and that movie feels drastically different than Die Hard 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, but nobody ever said Die Hard should be a PG-13 franchise. Like, oh, this is not real. This is like kind of PG-13.
No,
Like his tagline.
but that's yeah, exactly, and that's what's kind of my thing is like, well, what's changed to get this to this rating? Like, are they like scaling something
Yeah,
back, or is it like, okay, the ESRB is finally kind of caught up and gone like, whoa, hang on a second here. So it's just one of
I
those
could
like weird like how they're shifting a franchise, or are they shifting ratings?
I can understand because that's what kind of I had with Arkham Knight. Like when Arkham Knight went M-rated, it went M-rated.
Yeah,
Like
same
it's
idea.
clearly an M-rated game. So, but yeah, I don't think Halo. Like you've played enough Halo. Do you think there's anything they could have cut back to make it a teen rating, or they could have always been teen to begin with?
I think once you
Oof.
get past 2, I think Halo 1 for sure deserved an M rating. And I'm
Hmm.
trying to remember. I think anything that really heavily involved the Flood, just kind of in a similar way to like anything in Half-Life involving a head crab. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just the way that concept works almost has to be M rated.
Hmm.
So I would say
Okay.
when you remove the Flood from it, or when you remove like the Flood from being a major player in it, which I can't remember specifically what numbers that was, but that would be the one where
Hmm.
I'd say it'd be T.
Yeah, because now they're basically fighting robots,
Yeah,
from what
it's
I
like
understand.
aliens and Spartans, and they're fighting each other, and
Yeah. Yeah.
fun
Well,
narratives.
that's kind of interesting. They finally caught on. Hopefully, like I think hopefully ESRB is getting a little bit smarter with that. I think we're seeing fewer and fewer games like this rating doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I think E10 actually really helped that. I really do hope there's like a hard teen one, like like there's a difference between like Grand Theft like a really like Last of Us and Grand Theft Auto and what's the name? I don't know. To be fair, actually all the M-rated games now are being kind of gross about it, so I
yeah.
don't know. Uh, okay, so moving on, the last one. This is huge news. I think this because I really liked Mafia too.
This is one of
I
those
can't say
things that I think is huge to a very small group of people and very insignificant to a large majority of people, and we both
that's
happen
true.
to be in that small minority of people who are like, hell yes.
Yeah. Okay, so there's two things that kind of came out. There's gameplay in the trailer. The first thing I want to talk about, which I think was the better part, was the trailer, which
Oh,
is
the
not a good
trailer
thing to
is
say.
so good.
But that trailer was absolutely incredible. Uh, I like that it kind of opens with this isn't necessarily a Mafia. This is I don't know. It could be any game really. Like it's just like it's
Yeah,
a
it's
it's
just
a
like a
black
dude. It's
guy
like a
and
dude talking in the car.
yeah, it's like a black guy in a car, and his story sounded really interesting. He's like
Yep.
this whole thing with like family and stuff. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's like a mafia thing, like talking about family and making your own family and things like that. And then I thought it was really cool, like when they sort of like finally reveal, like you knew this is a Mafia 3 trailer going to it, but they like finally reveal that this is a Mafia game. He's like talking to the guy. You realize he's talking to like a Mafia guy in the back. He's like, you wouldn't know anything about family. You're born into your family. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I thought this was super cool because it wasn't what I expected for Mafia 3. I thought Mafia 3 was just going to be Mafia 2 too.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing I really like is that it's kind of clear that he's not in the Mafia, but the Mafia play that he's like probably an antagonist in the Mafia, which I was like, oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, that trailer was freaking awesome. They had like the four people at the end. I was like, oh,
See, the four people made me a little nervous because in my mind, that instantly my mind went to four-player co-op, and I don't want four-player co-op. That was as
that's
soon
true.
as I see if they put three characters or they'd put five, I would have been totally fine with it. But they put four, and my mind went, shit, four-player co-op.
Okay, to put your mind at ease, there is not four-player co-op that we know of yet.
Yet,
Probably. Yeah,
yet.
there probably will be.
That's like my thing is whenever that number four, just as soon as I see four, it's like shit. There's four-player co-op.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, that everything about that trailer was so well done, and I think it really needed that because I think a large majority of people don't quite know like what Mafia is,
hmm
and I think that trailer was so interesting and so well done that it generated enough buzz on its own without needing people like us who loved the first two
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like, no, you need to play this, no, you need to play this. It's like watch this trailer and then go, holy crap, whatever that is, I want to see the rest of that.
Yeah, the thing I really liked about the trailer too is that it's like subtle. Like it is a guy just in a car talking for like most of it,
Yeah.
and then you don't actually I think you see the guy. I think you might see the guy get stabbed, or they at least imply he gets stabbed. You don't actually see him get eaten by the crocodiles. You just like it kind of happens off screen, sort of.
Yeah, and that was an awesome way to reveal the setting too.
Oh, that was pretty.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I mean, I think I don't know if they announced that it was what Louisiana, right?
It's Louisiana.
I don't
Yeah,
remember if
yeah.
they announced that prior to the trailer or not.
Mhm.
But I don't really
There have
feel like
been
it was hinted at until like that point where he gets there and it's like, oh man, he's in like a swamp or something. And you see the crocodile, like, what the hell?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it's cool. I am of the opinion I love when they mix up franchises when they do like take like really like radical new steps. So this is what the point I want to make with the crocodile though is that a lot of the violence was sort of like implied. Like they showed it off screen.
Yep.
Like you don't actually see the guy get beaten up. I think you see him get stabbed, but it's like kind of dark, so you don't really see that, and you don't actually see him getting eaten by the crocodile. And that's the thing that's kind of cool with the Mafia series is a lot. I mean, it is a pretty violent game, but it's not like the thing is not it's not a bombastic like oh shooting guys in the face and this and that. And then they show the gameplay trailer, and it looks exactly like the stuff I don't like. Like it just looks like they made Grand Theft Auto. Like in the gameplay trailer, there's a part where he just walks up to a random bystander and then stabs him in the face like 6 or 7 times with a knife. And I
Yeah,
was like, that's not
which is
Mafia.
just weird to me because I feel like the first two were all about like subtlety and like
hmm
you're a mafia man. You don't just run around doing dumb shit. You got to think this through.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't get because I mean the character they showed in the trailers like looks like he's like like a man of respect and a man of
Yeah,
subtlety and stuff like that and like his whole thing about family and being an orphan. I was like that is so interesting. And then when I see that character and like later on they showed a car chase like you go off the back end of a moving vehicle or something like that and like you jump over cop cars and there's explosions. I was like that is not what you guys showed in that trailer. That is not that same game. Like it kind of looks like that game, but I don't
well,
know.
and I mean, I guess the thing with this is this game has always been considered that like Grand Theft Auto ripoff type thing. And I mean, the last thing I feel like you want to do is keep up with that stereotype. Like that
Yeah,
was this game was like, oh, it was early 1900s Grand Theft Auto. That's what this game was. until you sat down and you played it and you went, no, this is a very narrative heavy,
Yeah,
very
linear game.
very linear, very narrative, very very straightforward game.
Hmm.
And just I feel like the gameplay, like there's ways they could do that because Mafia 2 had some pretty well done action set pieces to it, but they were
Yeah.
intentional and in the story. Just walking down the street and seeing him stab someone does not feel like it fits in a Mafia game to me.
No, and there was like some people were talking. It's like this is probably just this is what they're using to sell the game. Like people who don't know Mafia, they'd be
Yeah,
like, oh, okay, cool. It's like Grand Theft Auto in the 1960s. That's awesome. So like that's maybe what they're selling the game. There's another few things I thought was weird gameplay wise. Is that the four people were like factions. You can sort of like either choose to do missions for them or not do missions for them. They have like safe houses and stuff. And I didn't like that because I liked that Mafia stories were really linear, and I felt that the best parts of the Mafia storyline is when you didn't have a choice and something really horrible happened that you could not have prevented,
yeah,
and you just had to deal with those consequences. And now the fact that like you have like choices and options in your story, I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. I like the idea of just kind of like working your way through the family. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you're the low level dude who like, oh shit, like, and then shit goes wrong and you have to kind of adjust and like you don't really want to do this, but you have to do it, and but it's gonna really like move you up in the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that creates a lot of narrative tension that I feel like just with like I can go help this guy, and screw that guy, I'm gonna go help this guy. Like it eliminates that and it makes it.
yeah.
I mean, I guess like, and again, we talked about earlier, like next gen having new things in it. If you can really set up your AI and you can really set up your narrative to the point where those choices actually affect the way that NPCs interact with you, and
Yeah,
more so than just in a like, oh, I can't go in this gang's territory now, or they're gonna shoot me. But like, if
yeah,
now, okay, I didn't go and do a job for this family, so now this family's out to get me. So now there's a new job that opens up with, you know what I mean? Like you could get to the point where there's some of that could really, really come across really cool. But I don't know if that technology's there.
yeah. If they do this and they have like real consequences in story and stuff like that, because I feel like especially like Grand Theft Auto and stuff, it's or just open world games in general, it's like okay, yeah, this area is now blocked off and you can't go there, and like that's all they do really.
Yeah, it's blue on the map now.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And like there's one that the stuff they're describing too is like it's that state of stuff. It's like oh, if you help this person, you can call in their gang to help you. I was like, that's not. If there's a story reason for that gang to come help me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If I'm hitting a button that says call in gang, that's not cool.
Well, I
And
mean,
I don't know.
and as you're saying that, that's what Saints Row has. Is Saints Row you
Yeah,
whip up the cell phone? I'm like, yeah, come help me right now, and then the soda cans come and shoot people. It's like it sounds like the same thing, except for well, we're not Saints Row, so they're not soda cans, they're
yeah,
gangsters.
yeah. That's I don't know. I feel like I was super interested in this game until they started explaining the new aspects to the series, and I was like, oh, that's not cool. Because I mean, honestly, the characters they set up look and seem awesome. Like I think it's really cool that it's like an antagonist to the mafia or somebody who's like working with the mafia or is like slightly against the grain. Like I think that's kind of interesting, is because the mafia games how I've always been like, here's a low level guy moving up to the ranks. So what about like a third party? Like that's cool.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm down. I don't know. This I'm really afraid it's turning into Grand Theft Auto Mafia.
yeah. I don't know. I think it's way too early, and I haven't seen enough for me to be that nervous about it because I'm still just like, shit, it's new Mafia. Who gives a like? It's gonna be good, but
Mhm.
I don't know. The more they talk about, it, the more nervous I get, and the more it's like you're taking this game that I really really like, and in my mind does something very unique, and you're turning
Especially
it,
gameplay wise.
yeah, and you're just turning it into another open world. I'm gonna kill everybody in front of me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Hopefully, like when we see like actually like a long form gameplay, like let's watch a mission or something like that. Like that'll probably make or break. But man, when I saw like pull out a rocket launcher, I was just like, oh,
No,
dang
no, that
it.
shouldn't be in here.
No. All right. So that was about all the news that we're gonna get through this week. So we are the Darksliders podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Darksliders_POD. You can also follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, pretty much wherever you're listening to us to. You can subscribe to us there. So we'll be around next week. I hope to see you guys then.
Bye.